Hello there again. It's endless, of course. We've once again, I said we'd finished, or we were going to be getting finished, and we weren't finished at all. There was still more to do. So it's been a while since I made the last section of videos. I moved on a bit from there onto the next scheme. Which that'll be in the next video probably, but for this one we've got to finish the body, because we went through in the last one explaining this great body, but before we go on to that, just go back to this constellations briefly. I've got to make sure I get this done within half an hour, because I found out that's the limit of the video size that I can make roughly. As I found out in the last video, it's just suddenly stopped and messed up the video a little bit. Sorry about that. Problem with the audio visual synchronicity, but I promise you some audio visual synchronicity delights in the next part. Yeah, if we look at Pisces and Aquarius, remember this was like the water was divided in creation into the upper, the lower, and then the in-betweens was divided into the hydrogen and the oxygen, and that's the fire. The hydrogen goes up into space, that gets thrown away to make the fire burn, to make this burned in the stars, while the oxygen carries it on upon the earth to make the life. And as we see though, there are two hydrogens and only one oxygen. So the hydrogen is the majority. And also we see like there was a loop here, like as Christ comes, sets free his bride, his chained bride, and then but there are two types of those on the left hand and those on the right hand, and those on the left hand go back into slavery and he sets them free again, and then they can be stuck in this loop then. So there's this great loop going on here, and you'll notice that repeating. Just remember that there's a loop there, and we're going to see that in the next part probably. But this was also like the digestive system, of course. You know, the food's split up, you know, and the bloodstream goes across, and the good stuff goes into the bloodstream. The bad stuff goes off out of the system, but there's like a big loop, like the intestines, like a intestinal loop going on. So there's many chances for this to happen, for all the good stuff to go into the bloodstream and all the bad stuff to pass through. And another thing, I'm a bit lost. I've not made a plan for this. I'm not sure what I'm going to be talking about in this one. We'll just let it happen. So if we add in the Messier objects to the constellations as well, these are like you know, the galaxies and nebulas which are visible. You know, this is all the stuff that, like, you know, men see, all the stuff, all the stars and that men see. Like, you know, and there are a few more about us as well that which may or may not be part of it. Or, you know, the Great Bear, of course. You know, this is like the sons of the Great Bear, like a sperm, like the body of the bear, like part of the Great Bear, like, which is God. You know, Ursa Major. So we've got this like Messier objects, like galaxies and nebulas and stuff, and like you know, unless you've got a really massive telescope, they just like mostly appears like just a hazy patch, like in the sky. Like, and there's like two places where there's this great hazy patch in the sky, and there's one great one here, which is in between the head of Virgo and the light she's reaching out to, like a block, like this mist in the way, like, so she can't see God. And that's you know, that prevents people from connecting with God, like this mist that's in the way, which is their sins, which ultimately come from Satan's temptations. So we see the second mist, as we see, is coming from Scorpio here. It's like part of his attack, trying to block things, so things, you know, things aren't clear. You can't see things plainly. Everything's a bit confused. But Christ just breaks through it, just breaks straight through this mist, and then, of of course shoots him through the mist. And of course, yeah, he can break through the mist then, which is getting in the way. But of course it's a two-way thing. We've got to do our part as well. Now if you were wondering about the what ammunition Sagittarius uses, what he's shooting exactly at Scorpio, this thing here, this portion here, this in between them, this is the centre of the galaxy, the Milky Way. This is the central portion of the Milky Way. Like these are all like the closer, more visible stars mainly, and then there's this whole other patch of stars making up the whole rest of the galaxy, and it stretches all the way across. Like it goes all the way back to Auriga, yeah, that's one edge, and it goes all the way across up here. And then that's the middle portion. And then it goes all the way up here to Gemini. That's the other side. So that's the thing that he's shooting at him, the galaxy. And this isn't a cartoon. You know, where you see like a cartoon cat gets an anvil dropped on his head, and like it knocks him out, and then he's fine. It's the galaxy. This is reality. So I've got a feeling I've missed out some things, but there's always more time. So we're moving on now to the Great Body. And yeah, once again, a lot of stuff to get through, so let's get through it quickly. So Great Body. Now, just briefly mention that I said that you know, the left hand, God's left hand, isn't evil. He doesn't have an evil hand, but you know, as we said, this was the human form of God upon the earth, Jesus Christ in the flesh. And he was full of sin, he was made full of sin. And he was cut off, just as he said. If your hand, your good hand, causes, you know, they're both his good hand, they're both his good right hand. If your good hand causes you to sin, cut it off. And he also said, if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. You know? If we look at the hand, and it goes the same for the foot, of course, it's, you know, generally the same design. It's basically a simple model of the outside of the whole being, like it's a model of the whole. Like, so you've got the main body, and then you've got the head, and then these four limbs, like. And then mainly, and each one has like a useful tool at the end. Like you've got this like serpent-like thing with a useful tool at the end to do the things. You know, same with the fingers. Like, it's a useful tool at the end, the nail. You know, so it's the same design. You know, in the constellations, you also see it. You see it as the hands and the feet as like men and animals as well. Like, you know, you've got the legs and then the head, and then the animals also have a tail, which is like the arm or the leg. I think I'm going a bit all over the place with this one. So if you look at the head, then we find we've got a model of the whole body going on, and it goes after the exact same pattern as the body model that we've got. You know, you've got all these parts which are the same, like it's the same model. Now concerning this bit at the bottom, just ignore this for the moment. Might get onto that at the end if we can. That has to do with the next section. But so we've got all these parts. You know, if you look at the fire signs, we've got the brain, of course, is the ruler, of course, controlling everything. And that's like operates by electrical impulses, like. And then the other two fire signs are the two eyes, which see the light. You know, and it's the same thing, like the hands. Like if you remove someone's eyes, like they use their hands to see. Like you know, it's basically the same thing. Like they're the main parts. Like what people go about their lives using, the brain and the two eyes. So they're like the fire signs. if you look at then the earth signs, connected to the brain, of course, we have the spinal cord and like the nervous system, and that's that like connects the brain to the body, like, and operates the body on behalf of the brain, like the two work together to operate the whole body. Like it's like, you know, the liver, like, you know, how the liver helps the head out, like, does all the stuff for it. Of course, this place is, of course, the brain, or the head, of course, is the place where the person lives. Like this is a machine, a thing which has been built. The person, the invisible thing, which can't be seen, occupies this portion here. And of course, this should be the ruling portion, but these lower portions, which are in opposition, the sensual portions, which we'll come to shortly, they also couldn't rule. But that's bad. So yeah, look at the other two earth signs. Then we have the parts which are connected to the earth, which connect to the outside world. Like you know, you've got the skull and the lower jaw, and I'll just go through this briefly. I need to get through things quickly. So yeah, we'll move on then to the water, which cleans things, which is this system of mucus cleaning and all sorts, going down through the nostril, down all through the windpipe and that, and all the way down into the lung, like, which cleans it out. Like, you know, it's just like the kidney cleaning the blood. It cleans the body. You notice the forms of the constellations. Once again, you know, they're like you've got two nostrils. Just mention for a moment, you've got like two nostrils, two ears, two kidneys, you know. And once we've examined all this, we'll be able to see why there's two of some things and one of another. But I'll just say, like, so we've got these two nostrils. Why have you got two nostrils? What do you need two nostrils for? I mean, it connects together on the inside and then splits down into two lungs, but you don't need two nostrils. But we've got two nostrils. That will be explained later. So, yeah. And the mucus comes out of them, but it also goes down into the stomach. And the other water sign we've got is the mouth with the saliva. Again, the waters are divided. There's a saliva, which is good, which helps you consume the food, and then there's vomit, which is whatever's bad which we eat and which needs to be expelled. And these two are like together. Remember, in creation, like, things were made together. Like, all this was made first, like, and then this together, and then this, these two together, and that. Yep, so if we look at this bottom air sign here, we can see we've got Pisces once again. Oh yeah, it's Aquarius, of course, yeah. The mouth pouring out the liquid, or drinking it in, of course. And with Pisces, the one we've got here is the tongue is the great whale, Cetus, and the two fish are the vocal cords, which go in and out, like, open and close. Like. That's with all the flesh removed, that's what they look like. The fish looks exactly the same pattern being made, like everything's made after the same pattern. And that makes the sound, and the tongue, those two together, like, make the noise, and the words. Of course, the lips help as well and all that. So, yep, and then the ears, of course, they listen to the air, like the air goes into the ears, and they hear it. And they also determine balance, like which way is up, which way is down. And if you look at the constellations, you see it's cancer is just basically like it's just like a dish to collect the sound waves, which then just go into the ear cavity. And Scorpio over here, you know, that's the same thing again. Like you've got the cavity. I'll get this out. There we go. So you've got this cavity, air goes in. Same with Scorpio, you've got this cavity, but as it goes in, like it curls inwards, like on the inside, like curls in like a little spiral on the inside. It's like Scorpio. Like a little model of the ear there, as well as of course the respiratory system if you turn it that way up. It's both of course deal with the air, the sound and the breathing. I've missed some things out. I need to catch up with the things that I've missed out. This one's a bit messy. It's been a while since I made a video. I did the others in a kind of a series and then stopped for a while. Oh, I'm lost now. Yep, and just mention also, if you look at Libra and Gemini, which were the nostrils, as you see, these are just like noses. See, you've got the nose here, and then you've got the two nostrils, and then the mucus streams out of each of the nostrils, and then when it gets to the mouth it's like splits, dribbles. And it's the same with Libra. It's like you've got a nose, the two nostrils, and the mucus streams out, like it gets to the mouth, like dribbles, and this one goes into the mouth. Because that's also what it does, goes into the mouth. Like most of the mucus goes into the stomach, like as another chance to go around. And of course we missed out a huge piece from the body, didn't we? I don't know if I mentioned about this. The great whale, cetus, you see here you've got the bladder, and then you've got this little pipe which goes into this huge member here, and then it has a little blowhole on the top of his head which squirts the water out. But then you have this second input as well from these two fish which hang down, you know, and they also input into it, which squirts out. So of course if you turn it up the other way up, it's like the female form, the ovaries, or the well, it's too much stuff to get into. But if you look at the two fish, if you remember, like which produce the seed, you know, so you've got the bad water comes out here, it is expelled from the bladder, and the good water comes in here. But one of them is good and one of them is evil, but you don't know which one it's going to be. You know, there's uncertainty in it. Like if you've seen the experiment where you pass light like through two slits, you know, it's called the double slit experiment. You know, and things like with uncertainty, like indeterminacy, like concerning the position and momentum of particles. Like you don't know, you can measure where things are but not where they're headed, or like where they're headed but not exactly where they are. So you can only give probabilities about where they're going to end up. Like, and it's the same with life. You know, it's all these things going on. Like you've got this battle going on between like the left hand and the right hand, which one's going to win the race. And then you've got this you go into the mouth, and you're chewed for a while, and you may be swallowed and accepted, or you may be spat out, or you may be vomited out later. And then you might go into the intestines, and you've got this whole journey to go through where you may be absorbed or you may be expelled in the end. And you know, Then you go into the bloodstream, and you've got this thing where you may be removed by the kidneys or by some other portion like the liver, which or tills the body, like cleans it up a bit and stuff like that. Or you may stay in the body and live happily, because that's where the life is. That's where the heartbeat is, the pulses of energy, which gives life and keeps everything going. And then of course you've got your whole life you go through, and you may go one way or you may go another. You don't know until the end, until the judgment. So you've got all these different things going on together at once, like. Now we've looked at the body. Sorry if this one's a bit messy, it feels that way, but I've got a feeling I'm missing out a lot of stuff and getting it out of order and things, but we'll move on. I'm sure you get the point by now, and you can examine these things for yourself. The more you look, the more you see. And when I say we're only scratching the surface with these things, I really mean that. As you see, I keep adding more and more and more. So, now if we look at all these parts that are made, and we consider all of history, we look at all the things that are going to happen, all the things which happen and all the things which are going to happen, and then we look at the creation, and we look at the way that the body is made, and we find that on the sixth day man was made after the image and likeness of God. Now remember, this isn't God, this is a created thing, and this is just a model of it, of course. This is all controlled by angels. Remember, the angels were in charge of the waters, and the angels blew the trumpets, etc. And the angels do this and that. So angels are in charge of all this. And they have their ruler, their king over them, and the other one who wants to be king, but just isn't. So now if we begin at the beginning then, beginning of creation, when there's nothing at all there. Remember, God creates with the issues forth of the breath and speaks the word into it. He creates all the things. So first he needs to think about what he's doing. He needs to make plans, because that's what you need to do. You need to plan first before you do anything. So he creates the brain first. He creates the head and the brain to think and plan and accomplish all things. So then he needs the lung to issue forth the spirit. So the lung is then created first to issue forth the spirit. And of course, now of course remember, this whole thing happens all at once together before the first day. So the lung to issue forth the spirit, and of course he also needs the ear to hear the spirit. Now remember, there's no air. This isn't physical air, a physical lung and a physical ear to hear physical noise. This is spiritual. This whole first portion is spiritual, and that we'll see. That's why there's two of some things and one of another, because there is like a spiritual counterpart, like a spiritual ear and a spiritual eye, which hear and see different kinds of light. So this is a spiritual ear, which hears the spiritual lung, which God uses to speak. And then of course in his wisdom he creates the spiritual kidney and the spiritual nostril, mucus system, to clean it all. Remember, this isn't a physical body that he's cleaning, it's his spiritual body. So yep, and he cleans the blood, like this whole system going around. This is like the bloodstream, which he puts a system in place to clean. Then of course he needs, oh, we're running out of time now. Oh. He needs, we'll get through it quickly now, but he needs the skull to put all these parts, which is just basically like a ball with the brain in the centre, the fire in the centre, as he also makes the earth to put, and of course he makes the water previously to wash clean the earth as well. So like this, before all the parts get added to it, the skull is basically just a ball with the fire, the brain in the centre. So then he needs the hand. Oh no, yeah. Then of course, yeah, he needs a simple limb with which to touch the earth. You know what? I think I'm going to finish early here because we've got a lot of stuff to get through, and I'm rushing through it, and I need to take a bit more time. So we'll finish there before the time runs out. So we'll finish that halfway through the next part then, and then move on to the part after that. Okay, back soon.